morning, I'm Madeline.
And I'm Andrea.
And this is our Yorkshire travel vlog number 2. During the month of September, we are travelling throughout the UK to do various interviews for the Fruity Knitting channel. And because we won't have enough time to do a proper episode for you, we decided to do this short travel vlog series instead to keep you updated on where we are and what we are up to.
So today we're driving right up to the top end of the beautiful county of Cumbria, not far from Carlisle, and that's because tomorrow we're doing an interview there. And our interview guest is going to be a man, which we're very happy about because it's great to have some men on the show. Yeah. So we're going to show you some behind the scenes footage of that interview. And today we're just enjoying driving through the beautiful Cumbrian landscape. Cumbria is the 3rd largest county in England, but it's the most sparsely populated. So we're seeing lots of moorlands and sheep and black and white cows that we don't know what the breed is called, and beautiful picturesque villages that we're driving through. So it's remote, it's rugged and romantic, just the kind of landscape that we really enjoy. And the weather's got a little bit cooler now, it's been raining, so the sky is quite moody, beautiful formations of clouds to look at, so we're really enjoying it. So we hope that you enjoy the footage that we show you, and thanks for coming along with us. Good morning, it's breakfast time in Cumbria.
Yes, we stayed the night at a very cosy bed and breakfast place, which is next door to a pub called the Dog and Gun.
We love these English pub names.
Yeah, and now we are having a big Cumbrian breakfast because it'll keep us nice and full throughout the day, and we don't need to take breaks in between, which will be most efficient for our interview day.
Yeah.
So these breakfasts look delicious. They have fried eggs, sausages, black pudding, mushrooms, tomatoes, bacon, so everything yummy and
toasty
very
jam,
filling.
Of course.
Yes.
And coffee or tea.
And after this breakfast, we're going to do the interview with our special guest and then drive back to Haworth.
Okay, so I hope you're having a good breakfast wherever you are. We'll tuck in before it gets cold and see you later.
We finished our interview in the north of Cumbria and now we're driving back to Haworth in Yorkshire. Cumbria is a beautiful county and we wanted to learn more about it, so I did some quick research and I found some quirky facts about this county. For example, Cumbrians really like their competitions. In the World Gurning Championship, which has taken place since the year 1269, the contestants compete for the title of ugliest face. There are 3 categories: men, women and children, and each contestant holds a horse collar around their neck while they try to pull the ugliest face they can. And then there's another competition at the Santon Bridge Inn, I think it's called, where contestants must tell the biggest and most convincing lie they can. And this tradition goes back to a local pub owner in the 19th century near Wasdale Valley. He was notorious for telling people the most exaggerated and colourful stories. For example, he'd tell visitors that not only did the valley have England's highest mountain and deepest lake, but also, Britain's highest mountain and deepest lake, but also the largest turnips. In fact, they were so large, apparently, that you could carve sheep sheds into them. Since we are on the road, here's another fun fact for you. So according to the quantum physicist Mark Hadley, the A591 from Kendal to Keswick, which is a road in Cumbria, is the best road in Britain because it has the perfect combination of bends, acceleration, speed and braking. We would have liked to stay here a few more days longer to enjoy the scenery and go for a really good hike. We are now back in Haworth, and today we made our way up the steep main street, which is made of beautiful cobbled stones. The street is full of pubs, cafes and cute little shops, and up until recently pedestrians had to share the street with large double-decker buses and other traffic. If you keep following the street up to the top, it leads you past the church to the Bronte Parsonage Museum. The Bronte family moved to Haworth in 1820, and the three famous Bronte sisters, Charlotte, Emily and Anne, grew up in Haworth in the parsonage right next to the church of St. Michael, where their father Patrick Bronte was the pastor. The Bronte family originally had 8 members, the parents and 6 children. 2 of the children died very young, and the mother died in childbirth. The only son, Bradwell, and the 3 famous sisters all died as relatively young adults, and their father, Patrick, survived them all and lived to the age of 84. All of the Bronte family, apart from Anne, were buried in a vault beneath the church. The graveyard next to the church is thought to have over 40,000 bodies buried in it. Some of the graves hold entire families. The parsonage is an elegant Georgian building from the late 18th century. It is now the Bronte Parsonage Museum, and we decided to visit it so we could learn about how the Bronte family lived back then. We will only show you a quick peek now because we will include a longer segment in an upcoming episode.
My young love said to me, my mother won't mind, and my father won't spite you for your lack of kind. And she stepped away from me, and this she did say, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day.
This area has a long history of textile production, but cloth making had very humble beginnings because for a long time it was just part of everyday domestic life at the farms. And then over time, farmers decided to expand their business and they started selling their own homemade textiles. And this second source of income became more common over the 15th and 16th century, so that by then most farmers would have their own spinning wheels and looms. They even started to build special weavers' cottages, which you can recognize by the long rows of windows. Weavers needed a lot of light to work by, so the windows of the houses would usually face the south as well. There's quite a few of these weavers' cottages around the area, and we found a really nice example here in Haworth. It's right behind me. Good morning. Today is Saturday, the 25th of September, and we are driving down to the market town of Skipton to visit the Yarndale Fibre Festival. Skipton is the perfect town to host a fibre festival because its name is derived from the Old English words skeep, which means sheep, and tun, which means town. And there will be around 180 vendors, so we'll try to do some short, spontaneous vendor interviews for you. We were actually not going to visit Yarndale Festival. This was a very last-minute decision because we thought we wouldn't have enough time during our trip. But I'm very excited because this is actually my first fibre festival.
Yes, so I think with that enthusiasm I should control the purse strings. I've been quite distracted with my driving this morning because where we're staying there's just a lot of steep hills, and then right at the top of the hills there is a roundabout, and I'm always stalling the car, and then there's someone right behind me and I have no room to roll back onto them.
Yeah.
So it's been a little bit nerve-wracking.
Hello, my name's Tanya Bentham, otherwise known as Opus Anglicanum, and I specialise in medieval embroidery done the medieval way. I've always been interested in the medieval era and I love medieval art. This is my first book. It's called Opus Anglicanum. It means Opus is work, Anglicanum is English. And Opus Anglicanum is really the high church, high fashion medieval embroidery of sort of the 10th through to the 15th century, although the style changes. And this is the first in-depth book on the techniques of how to do this. And in the words of the immortal Bananarama, with Opus Anglicanum, it's not what you do, it's the way that you do it. Because all this is 2 stitches, primarily. It's split stitch, which we all know and love, and it's underside couching, which is the way that the gold is attached to the canvas. But it's how you use the split stitch that's really important in Opus Anglicanum, because what you're doing is you're really playing with light. If you do this technique in cotton, if you do it in spun silk, it's not going to look like the medieval results. It's done purely in filament silk, which is the reeled flat silk direct from the cocoon, and it has this incredible light on it, and it's the way that you manipulate the light. Light's not very strong in here, so I'm not sure if you can see it. It's the way that you manipulate the light with the direction of the stitch that really makes the Opus Anglicanum. And then you've got the gold work, which is the underside couching, which is usually for the background, sometimes a little bit for the details like the unicorn's horn and the little trims on the dress, hooves and things like that. But this is a very ancient technique, but it's really, really imaginative and you can have a lot of fun with it. But it's very simple, it's just those 2 stitches. The other technique that I do is laid and couched work, which is more commonly known as bayeux stitch. I prefer the more technical term laid and couched work because bayeux stitch makes people assume the stitch was only used on the Bayeux tapestry, whereas in fact it was used throughout the Middle Ages and right across Northern Europe. And the piece you can see behind me is one of a series of 6 that I'm working on from the Luttrell Psalter, which is my favourite medieval manuscript. And this one is the music sampler. And I've taken all these little creatures and oddities from all around the book and made them talk to each other and play with each other. But because I'm not a medieval embroiderer, I do like to introduce little modern touches. So the music sampler is full of them. It's got you've got your Kiss gentleman here with his electric guitar instead of his lute. This bat here is obviously straight out of hell in tribute to Mr. Meatloaf. We've got 3 faces of David Bowie down here. If anybody's ever asking what this guy here is doing in a music sampler, anyone who's ever been to a rock concert will know there's always at least one pothead around, so that's what he's for.
Hi, I'm Max from Max's World and I knit moths. I started knitting them about 5 or 6 years ago when a friend suggested I should do them, and I thought they'd be boring and brown and tiny, and he sent me lots of different colourful ones, so I did one, I did another one, and quite a few moths later, here we are. They're all made with Shetland wool, hand knitted, and I use Intarsia and Fair Isle to get the colours in the right places. So they all match the patterns of the real species of moths. And so far, I've done about 60 different ones, and there's still loads to go.
Hi, my name's Morgan Hawkes, and I am Granny's Tweed Jacket, and I make buttons. I was taught by a Korean girl when I was looking for buttons to go on my own garments that I make, and I discovered this technique from her. I get my inspiration for all my designs from everything around me. I love nature, I love flowers, and I use that a lot, trees. I have to draw a design first, and then I translate that into a long design. It's quite difficult to get a head around, and make that design. It's a bit like Blackpool rock, but in polymer clay. and then you can slice that rock into the buttons, and that's how I make the buttons.
Hi, I'm Julie from Black Isle Yarns. The Black Isle is a small peninsula to the north of Inverness in the Scottish Highlands, and I've been living there for the last 7 years. I produce local yarns spun from locally sourced wool, almost all on the Black Isle, some a little further afield, but no further than an hour each side of the Black Isle. I started up by naturally dyeing for myself, but then finding I couldn't find any local wool to use to dye on, or even at that point very much British wool to dye with. So I looked into having some fleeces spun for my own use and ended up having a lot more spun and setting up Black Isle Yarns. I come from a background of land management and grew up with sheep, so I really enjoy building a relationship with the local farmers that I work with and whose fleece I buy. None of them are producing wool as a main product from their flock. It is all, for all of them, it's a byproduct, but they're all very keen to see added value given to their fleeces, and very happy for me to rummage through their wool sacks and take up their time in picking out the very best fleeces to go into the yarns. When it comes back to me from the mill, I naturally dye it. And I use a mixture of locally gathered plant material, and I do buy in some of my dyes. I have a variety of yarns. Some are breed specific, such as this Shetland yarn, which is worsted spun, and these are the 3 natural shades. But I also produce woolen spun yarn. This is Ochen, and it's a blend of Blueface Leicester, Shetland, and Cheviot. It's a very plump and airy yarn. And as a complete contrast, this is a Wensleydale, pure Wensleydale yarn spun from one single flock, very close to me, just on the edge of the Black Isle. And I think that's probably a good summary of what I get up to. So thank you very much.
Julie from Black Isle Yarns is kindly offering Fruity Knitting patrons a 10% discount of all the yarns in her online store. And the discount also extends to her book Perspectives, which is a collection of 6 designs inspired by the landscape and wool of the Highlands. So thank you very much to Julie.
If you try to lift him, Sienna, I'd have to come.
Maybe
I put him on the black.
Yeah.
That looks more. That's good. And then I'd still get you up high. So you hold him and I'll arrange this for you.
Should we go back a little bit so he's more stable, or is that not gonna? Because I'm holding him quite a lot.
You mean put the bottom of him back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Now just wait a second. I want to see. Maybe you can hold his hand like that with your head. He's looking a little bit squashy.
Yeah,
He's looking a little bit unregal.
Yeah.
He needs to be straight.
Yeah.
Can you?
I can support him from tilting forward by having my hand up here. If that doesn't look weird.
Yeah, but get closer.
Does he look straighter?
He looks better. Okay. And Madeline, I want a little bit more of a posy pose from you. Fun.
Right.
Just get my top. Those pieces. I'm going to turn it on now.
Good morning. Today is a very exciting day for me because I'm about to do my very first interview with Danielle. Danielle is a professional costume maker who specialises in goldwork embroidery, as you can see here, and on my beautiful dress that I get to wear during the interview. This is actually a 1940s dress that Danielle recreated for a TV documentary. I'm a very lucky girl, and Mum, she trained me on how to do a good interview, so I hope I do a good job. So wish me luck.
I'll be down to get you in a taxi, honey. Better be ready about 8:30. I mean, don't be late. Be there when the band starts playing. Remember when you get there, honey, dance all over the floor. Dance all over my shoes. When the band plays the Jelly Roll Blues. Say tomorrow night at the Dogtown Stutters Hall. Pushcart, honey, better be ready about 8:30. I mean, don't be late. Be there when the band starts playing. Remember when you get there, honey. Shim sham, Wednesday mall. Dance all over my shoes. When the band plays the Jelly Roll Blues. Say tomorrow